Ratchet and Clank is a reimagination of the original Ratchet and Clank for the PlayStation 2. We're not talking about an HD version or a remaster, it is a new game that offers something to newcomers and returning fans alike. My name is Globku and today we bring you our official review of Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, and it's autographed! To Ratchet and Clank, the chillest dudes I've ever hung out with on a hostile alien planet. Cool.
At its core, Ratchet and Clank is a third-person platformer and a third-person shooter. On the platforming side, Ratchet has a double jump and this swing shot that allows him to swing on specific spots. And with a few upgrades, Clank can help him jump even higher and glide through the air. Throughout the game, you'll find moving platforms, wall jumping sections, and a lot more. The controls are very competent, though the camera will misbehave from time to time. Nothing infuriating, but it might cause you a couple of deaths. On the shooting side of things, over time you'll acquire quite the impressive arsenal of weapons. You start slow with a wrench, followed by a grenade and the combustor that just feels like a normal pistol. And then things get a bit crazier. With a groovy Tron that makes enemies burst into a dance and take more damage while this is happening, or the pixelizer that kinda acts like a shotgun except it also turns your enemies into 2D pixelated sprites. This is just to quote a couple of examples. There are a total of 14 weapons for you to collect or purchase, and they're all crazy in their own ways. If you use the same weapon all the time, you'll run out of ammo, which encourages you to switch frequently, and I found this to be one of the most rewarding aspects of the game. Being low on ammo and switching to a weapon I'm not so comfortable with in the middle of an intense firefight, or figuring out ways to combo the different weapons together was a ton of fun. The game has a very lenient auto-aim function which can be turned off in the options menu, but I also found that to be very helpful, because very rarely are you just standing and shooting. Most of the time you've got to jump and dodge incoming shots. The more you use a weapon, the more it will level up, outputting more damage and giving you more options on how to improve it through this upgrade tree, so there is also a decent amount of customization available for the number of weapons that exist. This arsenal is used to shoot a lot of different enemy types. Some of these types are grounded and take a lot of hits, some are small and come at you in hordes, some are flying. There's a good variety here that will allow you to take advantage of your arsenal in different ways. Even boss fights are pretty interesting. This is the core of the gameplay, what you'll be doing for most of your time. The different weapons can be very fun to use, some more than others granted, and the platforming is decent, nothing groundbreakingly incredible, but it's competent and gets the job done. Enemy variety is great, boss fights are great. It's a good game at its core. But one of this game's strongest points is that it constantly switches the action. Besides platforming and shooting, there's a good amount of other activities that keep the game from becoming monotonous. For instance, within the first 2 hours of gameplay, you've got a puzzle section with Clank. You fly a spaceship, shooting at other spaceships, and you even enter a hoverboard competition. While I definitely enjoyed the variety of activities the game presented, a lot of these are just uninteresting. When you fly the spaceship, the controls are very basic, there's very little depth to flying this thing around, and while it can be fun to do a barrel roll, that's just not enough to keep this activity enjoyable. The hoverboarding is perhaps the worst of it. While there is a decent amount of depth on how you plan your route, when to use your boost, when you should be jumping and doing tricks to earn even more boost, the AI makes this mode infuriating, simply because there's a very aggressive rubber banding system in place. No matter how perfectly you execute a lap, your opponent will always be right behind you, except at the very end of the final lap. So it's like the game rigs itself for you to win it every time. And don't even get me started on these runner sections. This would all be fine if you only had to do it once, but the game brings these back multiple times. And after you see it once, the amusement just isn't there anymore, and it becomes a boring experience for however long these sections last. The puzzle component with Clank might just be the exception here. Using 3 different types of robots, you have to figure out how to open doors or activate switches. These puzzles start very basic, but scale pretty well in terms of difficulty. This is the one activity I wouldn't mind seeing repeated more often, which is a good thing, I guess. Unfortunately, I found all the others to be very lacking. Visually, this game is extremely impressive. It's like you're playing a Pixar movie. The different planets have very distinct looks, to the point that I always looked forward to explore the next one. There's a ton of stuff happening in the background at all times, which makes these worlds feel very dynamic and energetic. There's a lot of attention to detail here. Even your enemies have different lines and animations that react to what's happening. They'll celebrate when they land a shot on you, or even when they kill you. The voice acting is fantastic overall. It's hard to ask for a better looking game. It's just flawless in this department. The story follows the same guidelines as the original Ratchet and Clank, but it's told in a very different way, and some events have been altered. It's a somewhat cliché cartoonistic story. It's not hard to predict how it all is going to end, which doesn't necessarily mean it won't have its plot twists in between. What really brings the story to life are its characters and the sense of humor this game has. Every character you meet is very likable, even the bad guys, and the writing is very self-aware. The game knows that it is a video game reboot based off a movie based off the original video game. There are many references not only to itself but also to other video games, and the humor is one of those things that is hard to please everyone. Some people will love it, some people won't find it funny at all. I found myself to be kind of in between. I chuckled for most of the time, but I wasn't laughing out loud at any point. But it's definitely a story that left a smile on my face. It's a Pixar movie, and a good one. If you enjoy those, you'll enjoy Ratchet and Clank. So why am I giving it a B? Well, I thought the game's self-awareness was a bit much at times. And even though it's a kid's story, it's sort of a generic one. B is still a good score. It's mainly there because it's got a good sense of humor and likable characters, but the plot was very predictable and not really what kept me engaged. Most of the planets have a critical path with a couple of branching paths that usually reward you with collectible cards, golden bolts, or straight up more currency to buy and upgrade weapons. The game definitely rewards you for exploring. The golden bolts unlock concept art, visual settings, and in-game cheats if you want to have fun with those, and the collectible cards come together into sets that give you bonuses. At first, I was really excited with these cards. The first set I completed gave me a 100% damage bonus for my wrench, and I really felt rewarded for exploring. But it turns out that the other sets are just not so interesting. They basically give you an increased chance for your enemies to drop more cards or currency, which, don't take me wrong, they are definitely useful bonuses, just not as interesting as a 100% damage buff. There are also a couple of planets that are more open-ended, and these I did not enjoy as much. When you go down a branching path, there's usually a substantial reward waiting for you. On these open-ended planets, the game rewards you on specific spots, but you could end up exploring for a very long time without any substantial rewards. Still, I think every planet is worth exploring, even if you just speed your way through these bigger ones. I will say there's a special set of cards called the Rhino cards that give you a weapon once you collect them all. This weapon is definitely worth it, so keep an eye out for these cards. The game runs almost flawlessly at 30 frames per second. I had a couple of frame rate dips during my first and second playthrough. This only happened when there was a ridiculous amount of enemies on the screen. And like I said, this happened like twice per playthrough, so it's not even an issue. The game looks really good, view distance, ambient occlusion, everything looks awesome. It runs at a stable frame rate. It gets an A because it's 30 FPS and not 60, but it's some really good, solid 30 frames per second. Ratchet and Clank is a visually impressive game. It has a predictable story, but very likable characters. Its gameplay is good at its core and offers a lot of variety, though some of those variants are a bit dull. It's a game full of ups and downs, but overall I found it to be a very pleasant experience. And that's our review for Ratchet and Clank. The game will come out exclusively for PlayStation 4 on April 12th, followed by the movie, which roughly tells the same story but explores a few plot points even further. If you found this review to be useful, click that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more gaming goodness. I've been Gloku. Thank you for watching. Bye.